Welcome to my first podcast. This is 514 Sports with Paul DeCarry. This is May 4th, 2021. We've got a few things to talk about here today. We're going to talk about Montreal Canadiens, Cole Caufield in particular, a little bit of Conor McDavid with the Edmonton Oilers, and Tom Wilson, if we've got a chance at the end of the podcast. Tom Wilson had a little bit of a scuffle yesterday with the New York Rangers. But first, let's get started with the Habs. Being in Montreal, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, and pretty excited to see Cole Caufield playing with the Canadiens. He came up with the Habs a couple of weeks ago. He was called up on the taxi squad and finally got into a game about 10 days ago. He's played 5 games. He's got 2 goals. 2 game-winning overtime goals. First player in Montreal Canadiens history to accomplish this feat. Pretty impressive. He's only the 3rd player in league history to start their career with 2 overtime goals as their first 2 actual goals of their careers. The other 2 being in 1930, Albert Hughes with the New York Americans did it. And in 2005, defenseman Brent Seabrook of the Chicago Blackhawks accomplished the same feat, scoring his first 2 career goals in overtime. And now we can add to that list Cole Caufield, 2021, Montreal Canadiens, first player to accomplish this feat for a Canadian-based organization, which is kind of cool. Caufield, 2 overtime goals in 5 games. Pretty impressive. He's already got more overtime goals than several prominent Montreal Canadiens. Just to name a few, I can talk Kirk Muller, Mike Camilleri, Bob Gainey, and Jonathan Drouin. These 4 players have 1 overtime goal in their Montreal Canadiens careers. And we've also got Brendan Gallagher, Nick Suzuki, Scott Gomez, poor Scott Gomez, he makes a lot of lists in the city. John LeClair, overtime hero of the 1993 Stanley Cup Finals. Habs beat the Kings in 5 games, and John LeClair scored 2 overtime winners in Los Angeles in games 3 and 4. John LeClair has 0 overtime regular season game overtime goals with the Montreal Canadiens. Caufield's on the right track, that's for sure. He's tied for 23rd in Habs history, if you want to look at it that way, and he's played 5 games. Pretty impressive. He's still got quite a ways to catch Alexander Ovechkin, the NHL leader, in overtime goals with 24. But hey, 5 games, 2 goals, pretty amazing. Montreal Canadiens history, most overtime goals for the Habs. We're looking at 2 players tied at top with 10. Howie Morenz back in the 30s, and Max Pacioretty. Pacioretty had a great career with the Canadiens, and he continues to have a stellar career with the Vegas Golden Knights. He is up to 16 overtime goals in his career, but 10 of those coming with the Canadiens. So let's hope Cole Caufield can keep this going. Cole's had a pretty decent 2021, starting off in January as the American junior team won the World Junior Gold Medal, beating our Canadian team. So that was a bit of a bittersweet for us to watch as Canadiens fans, but happy for the kid. And then going back to Wisconsin, playing for the Badgers, he ended up leading the team in scoring and actually leading the NCAA Men's Hockey League in scoring with 30 goals and 52 points. After the Badgers were eliminated from the playoffs, Cole Caufield signed a contract with the Montreal Canadiens and was assigned to the Laval Rocket of the American Hockey League. After practicing for a little bit, a week or so with the Rocket, he got into his first game and 2 goals, 1 assist. Pretty great professional debut, scoring the winning goal. And then on the next night, he scored another goal, which happened to be the winning goal. He played 2 games with Laval, scoring 3 goals, adding 1 assist, and 2 game-winning goals. So then the Habs brought him up. Finally, the Habs, with all the injuries they had to wait a little while to get him up there. He had to spend some time on the taxi squad, salary cap implications. Not impressed with how the Canadiens management handled this, not being able to put Caufield in when we're suffering for goals, signing John Merrill and Eric Gustafsson, a couple of defensemen, kind of limiting the Habs, handcuffing the Canadians, not able to bring up Caufield when they wanted to. Finally, Tatar going out, Drouin not available, Brendan Gallagher, long-term injury, many injuries. Caufield gets into the lineup. First 3 games, he did okay. He did fine. He had many scoring chances. No goals, that's fine, no problem. Going back, then we look at the game against Ottawa. Petrie sets him up on a beautiful tic-tac-toe play, and Caufield pots his first goal with the Canadians in overtime. Habs win the game. Excellent. That's 2 in a row. They had beaten Winnipeg earlier. And then they head into Toronto heads into town. And once again, Habs come back from behind, score in the last minute to tie up the game. Hit overtime again. The Leafs have a 2-on-0 breakaway, Marner and Matthews, and just didn't work out. And then once again, Petrie sets up Caufield. Beautiful shot. Habs beat the Leafs in overtime. Caufield ends up with his second overtime game-winning goal in the NHL. Pretty impressive. This kid's exciting. Let's keep it going, Cole. We're very happy to have you with the Canadians, and we're looking forward to many more goals. The next Habs game is tomorrow, Wednesday, May 5th, versus Ottawa. Let's hope he can pot one over there too and break that record and maybe go for 3 overtime winners to start a career. Let's move on to Conor McDavid. This guy's fantastic. Conor McDavid, the best player in the NHL. He's just amazing. He's fast, he's smart, he's got vision, he's got speed. The speed is unbelievable. Watching Conor McDavid play has been a treat this year in the Northern Scotiabank Canadian Division. Getting to see him more than twice a year, fantastic. I couldn't be happier. And the Habs have played the Oilers 7 times, winning 5 of those games. So doing pretty well, but just watching him, he gets me out of my seat. It's wow, it's fun. But this guy, look at this: 50 games for McDavid, 31 goals, 60 assists. He's got 91 points in 50 games. That's 1.82 points per game. Unbelievable. He's on pace in a 56-game season to break 100 points. He's looking at 100, 101. If we were to play 82 games, he would be on pace for 149 points. Fantastic. The second place scorer in the league right now is his teammate Leon Draisaitl, who's 18 points behind him. It's unbelievable. Connor McDavid's career, he's at 1.4 points per game. It's fantastic. Just to give you an idea of the leaders, Wayne Gretzky's at 1.92 points per game. Mario Lemieux, 1.888. He's not going to be catching those two guys, but the games back in the 80s were different. There was many more goals scored. The goalies were not as strong. But for today's game, 1.4 goals a game, points a game, that's fantastic. Mike Bossy has finished his career with 1.5 goals a game. You never know. Maybe McDavid could inch up towards that. It's pretty tough to get 1.5 points a game, but hey, we'll see. Give you an idea of how dominant McDavid has been this year. Like I said, playing the Canadians, he played them 7 times. He's only got 8 points. For any normal player, that's amazing. That's over a point a game. But McDavid averaging 1.82 points a game, he's under par. So the Habs are doing a pretty good job. Thank you very much, Philip Deneau. Toronto's doing pretty well against them as well. They've 9 games versus Toronto, and McDavid 10 points. So I guess I would have to call that a win for Toronto. On the other spectrum, you've got the Winnipeg Jets. 9 games against the Jets, McDavid's got 22 points. Over 2 points a game. Ottawa Senators as well. 9 games, 21 points. Vancouver Canucks, he's only played 6 times against the Canucks for 12 points, 2 points a game. He's got at least 3 games left against Vancouver, so watch that. That's going to rise into, you're looking, I'm going to say, at least 15, 16 points. And provincial rivals, Calgary Flames, 10 games, 18 points. So I'm going to say right now it's a lock. He's won the Art Ross Trophy, that's for sure. There's no way no one's catching him. 18 points behind with 6 games left, and it's a no-brainer for the Hart Trophy and Lester B. Pearson as the MVP, most valuable player of the NHL, and most valuable player as voted by the players. Connor McDavid has to win these two he's quite the special player, and I'm looking forward to seeing him. The Habs play him 2 more times this year. Let's hope we can take down them both times, and if we do sneak into third place, we can see a first-round matchup, Habs-Oilers. That would be a treat to see. So let's move on to a bit of a downer story from the NHL. Tom Wilson, Washington Capitals forward. He's a good player. Tom Wilson's a good player, but there's something that he just doesn't get. He has no respect for the game, for the players that he plays against. He's sometimes the wires inside between his ears, they don't touch, and he just snaps. He goes off. Example, last night against the New York Rangers, there was a scrum in front of the net, and Pavel Buchnevich was at the bottom of that, and Wilson pretty much had his stick around his neck. And Wilson was on top of him, shoving his face into the ice and punching him in the back of the neck. Could have broken his teeth, could have broken his jaw. Just no respect. After this happened, Rangers star forward Artemi Panarin saw what was happening, who was in a scuffle with someone else, lost his helmet, went over to Wilson to try to get him off his teammate, and Wilson, strong guy, just threw Panarin around like a rag doll. It was kind of scary. Panarin, he's very close to smashing his head on the ice, but Wilson just has no care for any other players except himself, and the league's got to do something about players like this. What did they do today? George Parros, the head of NHL player safety, fined Tom Wilson $5,000. Are you kidding me? $5,000 for these guys? That's like me and you. That's like a quarter. That's like maybe $1. He was suspended not too long ago for about 20 games. So you'd think, as being a repeat offender, he should get something a little bit more than that. But the referees on the ice, they gave him a double minor for roughing and a 10-minute misconduct. So the NHL player safety is looking at this. Well, he wasn't even thrown out of the game, didn't get a game misconduct. There's an issue there. The referees on the ice have to do a better job. That in my opinion, that was a match penalty. That was attempt to injure. On both players. He should have been thrown out of the game, gotten the 5-minute major, and that way that makes the player safety's job a little bit easier. They've got, you got the match penalty, but George Parros, good guy, ex-Hab, love the guy, great heart, but Princeton grad, so smart guy. He's a very smart player. I don't think he's in the right job. I don't think he's the right man for the job, player safety. Before it was Stefan Quintal, not much better there. Brian Burke, couldn't see that working out too well. Why doesn't the NHL bring someone in like a tandem, like an old referee, say Kerry Fraser, who used to call it by the book, pretty good referee, and maybe a guy like Paul Kariya. Paul Kariya, great player. He was a star player. So why not bring stars into this mix, and they can start handing out the discipline. They know what it's like. We need our stars in the game. The NHL, it's a beautiful game, but with the injuries, we cannot afford to lose players like this. Even Panarin, he's out for the season. He's not going to play the Rangers' last 3 or 4 games. Okay, the Rangers are out of the playoffs. It's not a big deal, but imagine the Rangers were in third place and he'd be missing the playoffs because of a jerk like Tom Wilson, smacking him around. And so, no, I think we should go with Paul Kariya. He's suffered many concussions. He was knocked out of the game because of 6 concussions during his playing career, but he was a superstar player. Put him in charge with Kerry Fraser, and let's get this thing rectified. There's issues there. The NHL has to do a much better job in this. Anyway, that's about it for today, guys. I thank you guys for listening. I'm going to be trying to do this once a week there. Again, it's 514 Sports with Paul DeCarry. Thank you.